Thanks everyone for coming. Here to talk about protecting business and personal financial information. Stacey, anything to say before we get going?
Sure. So I'm Stacey Romano from M&T Bank. I've been in banking for 30 years. Banking has evolved since I started. I mean, everybody, especially on the 3rd of the month, when everybody got their Social Security checks, the line would be out the door because people would run to the bank. Things have changed, right? Everybody's banking online these days, which I truly believe that is a lot safer. It's easier and more convenient. It's safer to bank online, but it truly is, and we'll go into that of why. But I really want this to be interactive. I'm going to give you some examples, and we're going to show you why it's important to start with protection. The bank is protecting you as well, as much as we can. The fraudsters start from somewhere. So how do you protect yourself even beginning to start? So we do complement each other in many, many ways, and that's why we're here today to present.
As Stacey said, right, there's banking and IT, they are complementary. There's some overlap, so you'll see that. So for most of you know, I'm John LeMay, Ocean Tech IT. I have about 32 years in IT now. The first 26 of that was in corporate IT. Overall, from just computers and technology aspect, I mean, I really go back 40 years that I started using home computers when that was the thing in the 80s when that sort of took off. So I've been at this for an awful long time. The threats have evolved, and they continue to evolve, and they continue to change. Every time we get good at something, the bad actors come out with something else. This is all about minimizing your risk, doing the things that you can do to minimize your exposure, to make you a less attractive target than anybody else. Bad actors are going to want to go after low-hanging fruit. So if you kind of do some of your homework and do some things that you can do yourself, that your IT provider can help you do, that your banker can help you do, by having those open and trust-built relationship, by having those open conversations, we can minimize that risk and hopefully prevent bad things from happening. Kick off the presentation. Stacey's going to go first, talk about the banking side.
I mentioned before why I think online banking is better. Who writes checks today? You ready? Can you tell me what's on your check?
Your signature.
Name, address,
Phone number.
signature, sometimes phone number. When you send that check to New Jersey Natural Gas, who's opening that bill?
From worker.
You think they have their cell phone next to them when they open up that?
Absolutely.
So what does it take to go click? Now they could sell it on the dark web. They could take that information and go to a check printer and have checks printed. Now they have your signature. They could easily scan and get your signature on that check. So I say online banking because when you pay a bill online, the banks will take that money out of your account. We put it into a general account. And from that general account, we pay the bills. Most of the time, it's electronically. If we can't, we will send a paper check, but it's from our account. It's our information. Your name is on the check and the payee, and then you're the account number for that payee, right? So they get none of that information. So I just wanted to start off with that because I want you to really think about, who you're writing your checks to. If you do have funds stolen, or if you get hacked, how does that impact your cash flow? Are you going to know immediately that somebody used your debit card, for example, wrote a check, or went to the bank? Identity theft and scams kind of go hand in hand, but somebody can have that information and try to go to the bank and take that money out, right? Again, you wrote a check. They have your name and your account number. They have your signature. They can go to the bank and fill out a withdrawal slip maybe, or try to take that money right from the bank. If you had, whether it's personal or business, if you had, $2,000 taking out of your account, how would that impact your cash flow? Your mortgage check bounce, car payment bounce because you didn't have sufficient funds anymore. So it really can be disruptive. Even if you catch it in time, think about now, what do you have to do to protect yourself for the next time? Close out your account, redo all your payees on your online banking, notify, maybe the credit card company, or maybe you have to file a police report. There's just so much risk in that, but there's ways also to protect you from that. So fraud isn't just about checks either. There's ACHs and wire. If you have bought a house lately and the title companies are very, very tight with wire transfers because they've seen so much fraud. I'll give you an example of wire fraud. One of our customers came in and wanted to wire $35,000 to China. Okay. Who do you know in China? Oh, my best friend is there. I'm going in investment. We're going to build property together. We've been friends since childhood. And we'll ask a lot of questions. So Please be patient. If you do take a lot of money out of the bank, we're going to ask you questions for your protection. You know, this is a joint account. Does your wife know about this? Oh, yes, yes, yes. Well, can we bring her in? Brought her in. They went to, yes, yes, yes. We did the wire. Then they came back 2 days later. Now they wanted to wire $50,000. He said, we're not doing it. There's something that doesn't sound right. I'm not comfortable doing this. You know, have you checked in with China? Have they gotten their fund? Yes, everything's good. They got their money. My friend is very happy. We're going to, still wouldn't do it. He got so mad that I closed out his account, $150,000, took it to another bank. Another bank wired the money, came back and said, I am so sorry I didn't listen to you. We just lost $150,000. Because once it goes, a wire transfer, once it goes, it goes. There's things that you can do either as a business owner or personal to protect yourselves from ACH and wire fraud. Sometimes it is somebody hacks into your account or your computer, and it's where John comes in and gets all that information and goes online and does it themselves electronically. Especially a lot of businesses do wire money or do set up ACHs from their business. So it's convenient, it's easy, but have dual approvals. So I do the wire. Now I'm sending it to my partner for him to look at and for him to approve it. John's going to go into like a lot of this stuff of it starts from getting into your computer, phishing. How many of you get emails, right? Click on this link. There's another one that we've seen with some, older customers. They get an alert from Microsoft. Your computer has a virus. Click on this link. Give us your information. We're going to fix it for you. Impersonations. I mean, the grandma scam. They call up. Grandma, I'm arrested. I got arrested. I was with my friend. He was drunk driving. I need $5,000 to get out of jail. I don't want mom to know because she's going to be so mad at me. Can you send me $5,000? So they do impersonate voice. And the older person is so worried that I said, well, did it sound like your son? I don't know. I'm like, okay, let's call his mother. No, oh my gosh, we can't. I had to call the police because she gave the person her address. They were going to actually come to her home and pick up the $5,000. Voice or video, technical age is great, but we also need to protect ourselves. What can you do to protect yourself? Bank online, again, I think it's really is the safest way to go. You can set alerts on your phone. If your balance falls below a certain amount, you would get alert. If you did a transaction on your debit card or your credit card, you would get an alert. Businesses can set up what we call positive pay, where they download all their information. Every time they write a check, they download that in QuickBooks, send us that program. Every check that comes in, we compare it to that, and we will not pay it unless that check is on the list. So much so that at a business that put on the QuickBooks that it was payable to ABC Incorporated. Well, they wrote the check out just ABC. We didn't pay it. We tried calling them. They weren't answering. We said, what should we do? We waited until 3:00 for them to call us back until, we have to make a decision whether we're going to pay that. We returned it. Rather return it and fix it than them to lose the money. If you're a business and you're doing ACHs or wires, set up dual approvals. Alerts also you can do for a credit card. Every time you do a purchase on your credit card, you would get an alert. A purchase was just made, because the sooner you catch it, the easier it is. The only place I will use my debit card is in the bank's ATM. I'm comfortable with that. I look for skimming devices on the ATM before I cover when I put my password in. But if somebody hacks into that debit card, they have access to my cash. If it's a credit card, you're protected either way. Your debit card, if it's a fraudulent transaction, you fill out a claim, great. But with the credit card, I make a phone call. There's fraud on my card. Okay, no problem. Shut it down. They send me a new card. No. Didn't affect me at all. So I use my credit card all the time. Wawa, swipe. Dunkin' Donuts, swipe. $1.50 or whatever. I just could transfer anytime right online. So I don't build up balances on my credit card, because I just transfer and pay it 3-4 times a month if I wanted to. And I get the points on my credit card, right? So as long as the transaction doesn't get charged 3%, then I feel like I'm ahead. Anybody have any questions? Or you have to be careful. I mean, I always say it's not if you're going to get hacked, it's when. And you have to put those things in place. Be smart. Use the tools that your bank offers. For businesses, it's, might be a little bit costly. Might not want to pay a monthly fee for, say, positive pay. It's a business expense, and you get to sleep at night. Much better to be proactive. Having a relationship with your banker is huge, because we can, we've had experience. We've probably seen a lot of these things. I have a cybersecurity department. We could help you navigate through that. You think about your bank. If you have to call an 800 number, if there's something wrong and you're going to get bounced around, please go into your bank, introduce them to yourself to the local manager or the local banker there, and get to know them, because you can call them directly and they can help you, and it'll save you a lot of stress. Plus, it doesn't interrupt your business day. Say, whenever you get an email or, again, phishing email, a link, whether it's from your bank or from maybe a vendor that you do business with, you're better off just calling them directly. Don't pay attention to the phone number that's listed on the email or on the letter. And you did the right thing. You called them directly.
Great. Okay. So then now let's talk about how to avoid all of those things. Everything Stacey talked about starts with the relationship with your banker, which is very important. And it needs to be trust, as I said before, right? Because they have a lot of information, a lot of personal information, a lot of information about your business. You need to be able to trust that person. It can't just be a transaction you walk in. The IT side is the same way. When a client trusts me or my team with information, it's sensitive information, right? We have NDAs for a reason. We protect that information as if it's ours, because if something happens to that information, it looks really bad for us. Clients are coming to us for security and protection, and if we can't protect that information, we're not doing our job. So how do we extend that and help everybody else? When you go to the bank and say, geez, there's a problem, or the banker calls you and says there's a problem, somebody has information, whether it's the example, they copied it off your check and got all of your information, or if they got it some other way, piecemealing it together because you put some information on one website, posted something on Facebook about your kids and where they go to school or what teams they're on. They're collecting all this information. Bad actors can use AI or other tools to just piece this together and build a really good profile about you. So we'd want to protect that information, and we want to make sure that if any one source of information about you is compromised, they don't get everything about you, and they don't get the ability to touch your financial or your business. So we talked a little bit about phishing before. Phishing is the idea we go in, we're stealing your credentials. If somebody has an ID and a password, and that's all you're protected with, it's really easy for them to go in. If your password is shared across multiple accounts, it's even easier. Now they can try everything that you have access to, and they'll find out where they can use that password and that ID. And since your ID is usually your email address, they already have half the information to start with. Compromised email accounts, if someone gets access to your email account, what damage can they do? Well, in a lot of cases, how do you reset a password if you forget your password to PayPal? They're going to email you a link. So if they have access to your email account, they can reset all your passwords on all these services. So we need to separate that information. We need that multi-factor, that third piece of information. When we talk about multiple factors, we talk about things like something you know, like your password, something you are, like biometric, like a retinal scan or a fingerprint, or something you have, like a security token that you would carry in your pocket and plugs into a USB on your computer that authenticates you beyond just what you can do on your phone. Your phone can be compromised. If you have a password manager, which you should, everybody should have a password manager that stores all your passwords because they're all unique. You're not going to remember them. You don't want to write them down. You want to protect that password manager with something biometric or with a third security key. We want to segregate that information into multiple places, so not everything is on your phone or on your computer. In at least 2 or 3 different places. Some of it isn't stored anywhere. Some of it is just something you are or something you know. So keep that in mind as we go through these. Malware installed through links or attachments. This is the number one way exploits happen. Somebody clicks on a link. There are people that I won't name that are members of this chamber that have been exploited through email links. It's not that they did anything wrong. It's very common. It's very easy to do. I get calls from clients once or twice a year saying so-and-so clicked on something, and sure enough, we've already gotten the alert that says we blocked this. And if it didn't get blocked, then we go in and do the remediation. But at least they have somewhere to turn, similar to the banking where they have someone to go to when something happens. If you go to someone in my space in the IT world and say, hi, my name's Joe, you don't know me, but I had a problem with my computer, can you help me? It's really difficult to do that because we don't have that relationship. We don't understand your systems. We don't understand what software you're using. We don't understand what the risks are to you and your business. If we've already assessed those risks, we have a relationship for some period of time, it's much easier to say, yeah, we know you're covered because we've already talked about these things and because you're doing these things. So again, having that trusting relationship, very important to protecting your finance, whether it's on the banking side or on the IT side. They're both keys to the kingdom for yourself, for your business, family. Very important to protect those things. We talked a little bit about the financial controls that can protect your money. This is the technology side. What are the technology controls that can help protect you and your business? Now, we already talked about multi-factor authentication, also called second factor authentication. They mean the same thing. The idea is that you have that one-time password that's going to be sent to you either via, preferably not a text message, that's not secure. It's okay if it comes through email. It's better if it comes through an authenticator. Microsoft Authenticator, Google Authenticator, Authy is a third-party one. I use all three depending on what the account is. So I have a purpose to use all of those, as well as a password manager to store passwords. That information is all separate. Security awareness training, you can educate yourself on this for your personal, right? You can go and watch webinars and you can watch things about how to protect your identity, how to protect your money, how to protect your home, your family. That's helpful. If you're a business, you have a responsibility to your staff to help them protect your organization. You're trusting them with certain information. They should be well equipped with the tools from a security perspective to protect your business. Regular security awareness training, it's delivered via email, it's delivered via video, and then we do tests on it. We do little quizzes, 2 or 3 questions at the end to make sure that people understood the meaning of that. We also go and send out test emails to see if anybody's going to click on those malware links. And if they do, we get a report that says, okay, within this organization of 100 people, these 5 people clicked on a link. And now we know, okay, we need to do some more targeted training, either on a specific topic or to a specific group. Could be a department, could be just individuals that just need a little more help in making sure they're doing their part to protect your business. Endpoint protection, we still call it antivirus. Don't call it antivirus anymore because that's like a sliver of the pie. Antivirus is not adequate anymore. True endpoint protection means we are protecting, endpoint's a laptop, it's a phone, it's a desktop computer, it's a tablet, it's anything people use to access data either personally or for the business. So having those computer endpoint agents sitting there running the security tools just like your antivirus used to, they do a lot more now. We leverage AI to respond to threats. We leverage third-party companies to monitor those tools overnight to make sure that no one's getting into your accounts, no one's trying to access your systems. And if they do, one of 2 things could happen. They're going to remediate the issue, or they're going to contact me or one of my staff and we'll remediate the issue. Endpoint protection lets us do things. If you had an office with 10 computers in it, one computer gets hacked, we can isolate that one computer, take it off the network immediately until we remediate the problem. That's the type of responsiveness you really need. Without it, those threats move throughout your organization quickly. Finally, patch management. We've kind of gotten accustomed to Windows, Mac, on our phones, updating themselves on a frequent basis. That's a good start. But what happens when an update doesn't apply? What happens when it's an important security update that doesn't apply? Who knows about it and who knows what to do when that happens? We need to remediate that as well. So we do reporting on a regular basis. Patches go out on a weekly basis. Big numbers of patches go out once a month. And we look at the reports. What were missed, what needs to be remediated, who didn't reboot their computers, and it's sitting there waiting to apply a patch. So we can do those. We report on those things. We make sure we monitor those things. We make sure those things are taken care of. From a home perspective on patch management, make sure your software's up to date. Make sure you're not running something that's 10 years old. Make sure you're not still running Windows 10 or something older. Make sure you're not running a version of Mac OS more than 3 years old because that's about when the security starts to lack. If your Macs are 5, 7, 10 years old, because Macs will last that long, the software is probably out of date and you should probably replace for that reason, not because the hardware's gone bad. Most of the time that hardware stays running. It's the software that gets out of date. Patch management at home, keeping things up to date, making sure you update your software regularly. So everything I just described sort of leads into this slide, right? Why aren't the bank controls enough? Stacy talked about a lot of good controls at the financial level that can happen, but everything I talked about is doing your homework ahead of time, protecting your own data so that that person that Stacy talked about doesn't have the information to walk into the bank and be pretty convincing in some cases, especially if you don't have that personal relationship with your banker, that lets them walk away with $50,000 or $100,000 or $500,000 or whatever it is. If you've done the pieces that I've talked about, keeping your information segregated, keeping it protected, not relying on one piece of technology, you're going to be better protected than a lot of other people, probably the majority of other people. So that puts you ahead. That makes you less likely to be a target. That makes you a less attractive target to the bad actors. they're more likely to move on and attack something that's easier. Cyber controls reduce the chance of that event occurring. Fraud frequently looks legitimate. I walked in this room this morning, and since then, 2 people have walked up to me with stories about cyber issues that occurred in the past 24 hours. So this is happening all around us. As Stacy said, not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. Happens to everybody. And I'll be honest, some of the stuff that comes out in email looks really convincing.
Mm-hmm.
You're reading email quickly, it's very easy to accidentally click on something because it looked valid. If you get an email that says, call us at this number because we have some banking information, don't call that number. Don't respond to that email or to that letter. Look at the back of your credit card, look up your bank statement, find the actual number to your financial institution, call that number. And if they can't tell you exactly, precisely what that's about, assume it's fraud. Nobody's ever going to come to you via text message, via email, via phone call with a financial decision that needs to be made in the next 30 seconds. That doesn't happen. Google's not going to reach out to you. The IRS isn't going to reach out to you. Microsoft isn't going to reach out to you.
Security.
And they're going to try to catch you when your defenses are down, and you're going to be in a hurry to try to get something done. I just want this taken care of. I want this problem to go away. That's where the mistakes happen. Take your time. Say, I'll call you next week. We'll figure it out. That's good enough. And if it's not good enough for them, you know what? Tough. Don't make these knee-jerk reactions that lead to financial loss for you or your organization. Some quick steps you can do now. Enable MFA, multi-factor, second factor, on all your accounts, especially the important ones. Banking, your primary email, where all those password reset notices go. Anything that's tied to your financial information. Credit card information is saved to certain places. When it comes to password managers, don't save your passwords in your browser. Use something like Bitwarden, 1Password, LastPass, KeyPass. There's a dozen password managers out there. Don't rely on the ones that are built into Chrome or Edge or Firefox, because you might as well post your passwords on the internet. Their primary function is not to protect your passwords. It's secondary. Protect your passwords, enable MFA, security access, security awareness training. Make sure you're doing that training on a regular basis. Make sure it's frequent. Make sure it's tested so you know that people are getting what you're giving them from a training perspective. Ensure everything's frequently patched. Make sure those patches went out and applied correctly. Coordinate these controls, financial and technical, between your IT provider or someone you trust in the IT space and your banker, who you preferably have a relationship with, not just walking into a random branch and saying, I think I have a problem. Make sure they understand the background, whether it's IT or banking. Make sure they understand what you do, what your business is about, the types of transactions you do, and that helps them make better decisions that will help guide you better. So some of the key takeaways. Most fraud starts outside the bank. It doesn't start when they get to the bank. It starts because something was missing along the way that allowed your data to get leaked out there. Cybersecurity, financial controls are complementary. It's not one or the other. You need both to protect your financial situations. And we layer those protections, right? We didn't talk about layers, but what Stacy talked about, the various tools, when I talked about the various tools, these are all layers that build a more secure and more safe profile. So you can read what you can do next, right? So review things, pay attention to information as it comes in. Don't make knee-jerk reactions in short periods of time. Confirm your accounts are still protected. They are safe. They're protected with MFA. Those passwords and everything are stored somewhere. They're not written down and kept on a sheet of paper. And then just have open, honest conversations, whether it's banking, IT, just like you would with a doctor or anybody else. Where are the gaps? Where are the blind spots? What are the things that I'm not thinking of? And work together collaboratively to figure out what issues may exist that you're not aware of. Problem occurs, a lot of times it's too late. Everybody can scan this QR code if you want to get some downloadable information. Some of what you see in that handout that's in front of you, Stacy, some of the stuff you provide, I put links up there for.
Mm-hmm.
So all of that's there. Any questions, comments? The thing with LifeLock is you can go lock all your credit accounts yourself if you want to. It's a real pain if you go apply for credit somewhere because the accounts are locked. They can't do the queries. You got to unlock them before they can do that. I think it's things you can do yourself. I think keeping an eye on your credit in New Jersey, you still get a free one every year.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of times those credit reports tell you what already happened. The horse has already left the barn. So that's my feeling on those.
I was going to actually mention that I have my credit locked. So if I was, to buy a car, it's very easy. You just go right on their website, you unlock it for 24 hours. They pull the credit, it gets locked right away. I also have direct sign up with those 3 credit agencies that if somebody pulls my credit, they're going to notify me. You could do it. yourself. And I think with the alerts and again, online banking being what it is, use it for the tools that it has and good. It really does protect you. I just locked my credit Experian. And usually if you call it just Experian, they'll use the other agencies will lock it. And they all talk to each other. So if you had a scam or you had your credit card hacked, you definitely want to notify a credit company that you and they will recommend that you lock it.
Burglar, fire, flood. Now your passwords are gone. Now you got to go through that hassle of doing that. With a password manager, you unlock your password vault biometrically. Once every 2 weeks, I have to actually put the password to the vault in. So I do have to remember what that is. So I admit, don't make it terribly difficult, but it's be difficult for somebody to guess. You have a security or a prevention kit so that if something happens and you do forget that password, or you can no longer use that biometric, if forgot it or something happens, you have a set of keys that you can download those keys, put those somewhere, either electronically on, OneDrive, Google Drive, but only you know what those keys are for. And you need other pieces of information to use those keys to unlock your vault. Whoever you're using your password manager from, they can't unlock your vault any more than you would be able to if you lost the password. They don't have access to it either. So it's important. You're putting the information there. Only you have the keys to that.
Same thing with banks on, when you sign on to your online banking, a lot of customers will call, I forgot my password. Can you tell me it? I forgot my PIN number. Can you tell me it? We don't have access to that. We can reset it for you, but we do not have access to that for obvious reasons. So
VPNs have value where you're trying to get people into your workspace so that they can work on things when they're remote. But for a personal user, a VPN does nothing. And in fact, it can be worse security. When you make a request, you want to go to M&T Bank, or you want to go to Google, or you want to go to a Microsoft site, your computer's talking directly to those sites. If you have a VPN, your computer is not talking directly to those sites. Your computer is talking to the VPN endpoint, the server, and that server is now proxying or talking on your behalf to all these other websites. So you're taking all your traffic and you're sending it to one person who's running the VPN. I hope you trust that person who's running the VPN. It's definitely worse security from a personal perspective. Mac OS and Linux, if anybody uses Linux, they're designed much differently than Windows was. And Windows has gotten better, but Mac OS, iOS, even Android OS are still more advanced from a security perspective. And people will argue about this than Windows is. And the reason I say that is because Windows has a huge user population that they can't alienate by breaking things by putting too much security in place. They're getting much better. Windows is much better than where they were 5-10 years ago. Yeah, macOS is still very different architecturally. It's built different, and it's more secure from the ground up. We have to do things in Windows that we don't have to do on macOS, but by no means does that mean that you don't need protections for macOS. You absolutely do need some level of protection for all of those, whether it's network, whether it's password managers, whatever it is. When you're using your computer on a Mac, you're not running as an administrator. When people get a home computer and they set it up, they usually have administrator rights to their computer. If they click on something, things happen automatically. You may get a pop-up saying, do you want to do this? And everybody just clicks yes. In the Mac world, it's different. You're not automatically an administrator. Same with Linux.
don't forget everything, even checks that come in. It's impossible for the banks to look at every single check. So they're coming through. There's really no way of us, looking to see who that check is payable to and is it legitimate, unless you put those like businesses positive pay, or you electronically send it, because then you're going to electronically send it. We know that it's going to get there. We send, your tax payment, IRS. We're sending it to the IRS directly. So you're going to get the proper credit. You could write $100 check. Somebody, if you don't write that, and who's to say somebody can't add 1,000 to it? Now it's $100,000, right? We do extensive training, exactly what he said. And our tellers we have certain check cashing procedures. So if that's presented in front of us, we do have eyes that are looking at that, right? So now, we're looking not only at the check, but we're asking for ID. We're comparing that to other checks. Is it in the same sequence? Does that signature match to a couple of other checks that were paid a month ago? because we figured 60 to 30 days, they've already gotten their statement. They may have looked at it. If they've approved that that check was legit, that it's paid. So we can compare that check to other checks. Is the handwriting the same? Is the signature, we're not signature experts, but we can tell if it, if it looks legitimate. And if it's not, we call our customers. No, John, I have Stacy here. She's trying to cash a, $10,000 check. Did you write that check out to her? And if we're unsure, we'll say, you know what, we can't verify all the right information on this check. Please go back to the maker and, come back to us. We are very, very cautious about it. And I'm sure other banks are as well. If sometimes there will be multiple things that come out. Yes, it will alert and we'll freeze it. Had customer that her check that she wrote a bill to was being sold on the dark web. We caught it. We called them. They had to come in. We had to, close out the accounts. We had to redirect their Social Security deposit. I mean, it's a lot. But we have people that just look at the dark web. We saw that her check was being sold on the dark web. And why? Because they have your name, your address, your bank, your routing number, your account number, your signature. So, that's something that's very common. We have customers that when they take out a large sum of money, we do ask, who is this for? What are you doing? Do you know this person you're giving this to? A lot of times I ask them to come in my office. Please sit down. I had to cut somebody that the fraudster was on her phone in her pocketbook. And I kept saying, this is a scam. I'm not comfortable with this. She said, well, I got this text from the bank. So let me see the text. She went to show me the text. I said, who's on your phone? Oh, well, that's him, because when I got the text, I called them. He was listening for half an hour to me. I said, hang up that phone right now. And we called the police. So we really do try to do our due diligence. Somebody also, this is many, many years ago, an older lady was being scammed and they told her to go to Best Buy and get a gift card for Best Buy. Then they said to go to Wawa and get $5,000 worth. And she came back because she ran out of money. We ended up, she didn't send the last two gift cards because they were told to call them back and give the code on the back of the gift card. And then there were a couple of times she had to send the gift cards, but we were able to help her with that. A doctor that got a call from the FBI, they found her prescription pad out in Texas, and it was a rental car, and it was filled with fentanyl, and they confiscated the car and found his prescription pads in the car. So the FBI said, we're going to come and arrest you. We think that you've been it was a whole big scam, and he was falling for it. He's like, the FBI is coming after me. They're going to put me in jail. Like, the FBI is not calling you. They're not going to do that. Very convincing. And you could say, oh, that'll never happen to me. I'm too smart. I have this, I have that. But, these things are in place. So we really want to help and protect you. And don't be ashamed. Don't be embarrassed, because they are actors. They're very, very good, and they get better and better. So if any doubt, please ask somebody. Bring it to somebody's attention. Talk to your bank. Call an expert. Go to the police if you really, they'll tell you. I mean, you can go get fake ID. You can go get a fake New Jersey driver's license. Right now, you go to the bank and you have somebody's Social Security number and you get a fake driver's license. You can go get a car. Mm-hmm. And call your bank if you're traveling. Call your bank if you're traveling. You don't want to use your card in California. We're going to shut it down. We're going to decline it, because please call your banks or your credit cards when you're going to be traveling, because we know that you don't live in California.
Well, thanks, everyone. Don't forget handouts on the
Thank you.
tables.
Thank you.